everybody. My name is Audrey, and I'm the Education Programs Manager at the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum. Welcome to Storytime with Audrey and my dog, Bolin. All right, the story we're reading today is All Different Now, Juneteenth, the First Day of Freedom, written by Angela Johnson and illustrated by E.B. Lewis. I do want to once again thank the Waco-McLennan County Public Library. That's where I took this book out from, and we wouldn't be able to do story time today without their help. So thank you. Now let's get started. I'll be reading the book first, and then I will be sharing a little bit about the history of Juneteenth that the author gave us in the background. All Different Now, Juneteenth, the First Day of Freedom. A June morning breeze off the port blew the smell of honeysuckle past the fields, across the yard, and into our room to wake us. And nobody knew, as we ate a little, talked a little, and headed to the fields as the sun was rising, that soon it would all be different. Then we worked and worked and worked some more under the hot Texas sun. Until word spread from the port to town, through the countryside, and into the fields. That a Union general had read from a balcony that we were all, now and forever, free, and things would be all different now. I watched as my Aunt Laura sang as she held her baby. Mr. Jake, who some say was 100, cried quietly, and a group of grown people bowed their heads and whispered things to each other that I could not hear. My mama held my hand softly and looked beyond, as another breeze blew over and everything fell to a hush. But later, Papa, Mama, the aunts and uncles, and all of my cousins had an afternoon picnic by the water. My baby brother crawled around our blankets as we listened to the sound of the waves. And as more people joined us, we ate as free people, laughed as free people, and told stories as free people, on into the night. What was before would be no more. As we walked back home, the cool of the night soothed our tired feet that padded quietly past the shadowy fields of cotton. And in the morning, the smell of honeysuckle will wake me again, besides my brothers, my sisters, and brother, to a time that will be, for all of us, all different now. Now I'm going to read a little bit about the history. So one important date, January 1st, 1863. President Abraham Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation, which declares that all persons held as slaves within states that have seceded from the Union are and henceforward shall be free. The proclamation makes freeing slaves the official end goal of the American Civil War and allows African Americans to enlist in the Union Army and Navy. The Emancipation Proclamation does not end slavery in the United States, but it sets the stage for the constitutional amendment that will. We're going to skip down here to June 19th, 1865. Major General Gordon Granger arrives in Galveston, Texas, with news that the Civil War has ended and all the slaves are free. During the war, Union soldiers could not get past the Confederate troops and enter Texas to tell the slaves about the Emancipation Proclamation. Then, when the war was over and slavery officially illegal, the slaves in Texas did not know that they were free until Major General made his announcement, because plantation owners still did not tell their slaves that they were free. This is why his arrival in Texas is known as the day that the last slaves were freed, and is celebrated as the first Juneteenth. On December 6, 1865, the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery is ratified by enough states and added to the Constitution. Now this is Juneteenth then and now. At first, Juneteenth was only celebrated within the African American community. Celebrators would play games, eat food, and dress in nice clothing to symbolize that they no longer wore the garments of slavery. Sometimes white landowners would oppose the celebration by refusing to let their newly freed workers use their property. In response, Juneteenth celebrations mostly took place at churches or on donated land. Eventually, in the 1890s, sites like Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas, and Booker T. Washington Park in Mejia, Texas, were bought specifically for holding Juneteenth celebrations. During the early 1900s, interest in celebrating Juneteenth declined. The Emancipation Proclamation was credited with ending slavery, and General Granger's role in freeing the Texas slave 2.5 years later was widely forgotten. In the 1930s, the Great Depression forced many people off the farms and into the cities for jobs. Unless June 19th fell on a weekend, there were very few participants available to celebrate, as they had to go to work. Awareness of Juneteenth increased again during the Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s and 1960s. African Americans reconnected with this important part of their slave heritage and used it to fuel their fight for equal rights. The Poor People's March in Washington, D.C. in 1968 especially inspired many African Americans to begin celebrating Juneteenth again. Throughout the next several years, African American state legislator Al Edwards helped to increase awareness of Juneteenth until it was finally declared an official state holiday in Texas on January 1st, 1980. In today's society, Juneteenth is widely celebrated. It is a day for celebrating African American freedom and achievement. The Smithsonian, Henry Ford Museum, and countless other institutions sponsor activities and celebrations for Juneteenth, hoping to educate more people about African American history and culture in general. However, Juneteenth has also morphed into a more national, symbolic celebration of respect for all cultures. The end. So that was all different now. And we really would like to thank you so much for joining us for Story Time with Audrey from the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum. I'm so glad you were here today, and I hope you can join us next time, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye now!